Alright, this is a quick video on the latest Atari 5200 I've been working on. This came from James. He's been very patient with the mod work because I had a couple of family issues I had to take care of, but he's been very patient, so I want to show him how it looks so far. Got the hinge fixed in the back, so you can actually, this is the cover for the controllers. Actually, if you look down inside, what you do is you take your controllers. Oops, that's funny. It's actually running. Pause that. You can take your controllers and actually stick them in upside down like this, and you can actually close the door and leave the controllers plugged in. So right now I'm just doing an evaluation on the status of the controllers. The system I got shipped to me actually had three controllers, and you can see here, this is the most common problem you'll see with controllers, is this rubber boot. It's on Canadian here. This rubber boot here gets all torn up because just over where it gets torn up. The problem is on the 5200, it's not really there's no centering spring on it, so it actually depends on this rubber boot to return to center. So if you look at this one, the rubber boot is intact, and you can see it. It's slightly lazy getting back to center, but it does come back to center. So right now I'm just doing an evaluation on one of the controllers was in real bad shape. I'm just going to swap it out with sneeze here. I'm just going to swap it out with one of the extra controllers I actually have. So I'll open these all up. Only thing that really goes bad with them is, other than this boot tearing, underneath these buttons and underneath the keypad are little conductive carbon pills, and those can get quite worn out, and those can fail. And you could just, I have this really nice conductive aluminum tape. I just cut out, I die cut little these self-adhesive pieces of tape and adhere it to the back of it, and it seems to work out really well. I've actually done that with an Atari Lynx, where I've redid the contacts that way, and it's actually held up really well. So it seems to be a good solution. And then you got up here, you just hit these little guys. You just have to hit with deoxit, which is takes the oxidation off on it. And this particular 5200, I did something different than the last one I worked on. This one, James requested S-video out, so he has S-video out. And here's an extra feature I added. I actually added the composite on here because I actually don't own I don't own a TV with S-video on it. But I added this nice little button here, and this little button here, if you press this button, how S-video works is it has separate lines for luma and chroma on it, which luma is the brightness, chroma is the color signal, and all a composite signal is it mixes those two together. So what you do is this little button here will take out the mixing the chroma signal, so they won't bleed over on the S-video. So if you press that button, turns off the composite out. Well, you'll just get black and white on the composite output, and it'll cut down the interference on the S-video. So neat little feature I added there. And I like putting the new ports. This is just an expansion cover that was part of the 5200, knowing that there was actually not really an expansion for it. So I added to this little cover here. This unit is actually the first one I've ever seen. I've seen about 4 or 5 5200s. This is the first one I've seen that actually has the cord management still intact at the bottom. So that was a good find. Actually, it was in good shape. Other than the busted off hinges, it was actually in pretty good shape. And then you can see, hey, Moon Patrol on my TV. It's kind of weird playing these games on the modern LCDs. They don't come out, the colors are pretty good. I try to adjust as best I can. There's actually a potentiometer located right about there that has you can actually adjust the color output. And on my particular board I added, it sits right about here. I changed the luma from a fixed resistor to a to potentiometer, so I could actually adjust the brightness and the color on the screen. So pretty good. And the output's not perfect because it is on the composite right now. It's not on S video, so I'm hoping it's a little sharper on the S video. I have noticed in some of the older Atari ones there's a little bit of bleed through on here, and I think it has something to do with I replaced the power supply capacitors. I'm not quite sure why that's coming through. My only thought would be is the I have a dog, so that's why there's little stuff down here, animals down here. The actual original power supply might be a little noisy. I might scope out the power supply to see how clean it is, and in that case I could actually bump up the value of that filter cap. But for now I'm just going to evaluate the I'm going to evaluate these 3 controllers and get them fixed up, because that's all that really remains here. I might scope out the power a little bit more, see where there's just a little bit of noise I'm not entirely happy with, but considering it's a 30-year-old game console, you can only expect so sharp. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.